Now y'all know.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Overrated Podcast. It's your boy Ant. I'm here with my brother Dallin.
Yeah.
We just enjoyed another week of college football. Unless you're an Oklahoma fan. It's pretty depressing. You know, we scored a touch. We took the lead with 2 minutes left and then blew the lead and then had a chance to win the game and then got stripped and touchdown Missouri.
First rough year. First rough year. It's okay. It's okay. Y'all gonna have some bright sides maybe in the future. Just depends.
Yeah, hopefully. A lot of upsets. A lot of
upsets. I told you.
A lot of upsets this week. A lot of teams I did not think had a chance to lose lost. But we'll talk about that, obviously. For everyone that's new here to the channel and just now tuning in for the first time, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. We appreciate if you do. You know, we'll love it. Also, if you like the content and you want to hear more, turn on that notification. Hit that bell right there at the bottom. Never miss a video because we're dropping them. We're consistent. We're here. We're talking football. We're keeping it real. To all the Clemson fans out there, we keeping it real. And possibly, if you're a Miami fan, might keep it real a little bit for y'all today too. Because we've been talking about it for a while. We've been talking about Miami and their defense's inability to get stops, and they lost a game to a Georgia Tech team that couldn't throw the ball. Quite frankly, they couldn't throw the ball because Haynes King was hurt and was literally unable to throw the football. So every time they decided to throw the football, they had to go to the true freshman quarterback to do it. So it's kind of an embarrassing loss for Miami, but we'll talk about that later. First thing I want to get into before we get into our reviews is the AP Top 25 that was released. Now, it isn't the college football rankings top 25 that we're going to get on Tuesday, but I do feel like the AP top 25 kind of affects the college football top 25 because I feel like the voters look at the AP top 25 and they kind of want to go off of it. Like you won't catch a team outside of the top 15 inside the college football playoffs top 10. So that's what I mean. Like wherever they're ranked in the AP poll, naturally they're going to rank around there in the college football poll also. So let's get it. Let's take a look at it. At the AP Top 25 poll that was released, we got Texas at number 1. Oh no, sorry, Oregon at number 1. Ohio State at 2. Texas moves up to 3. Penn State moves up to 4. Indiana gets the 5th spot. Then we have Tennessee at 6. BYU moves up to 7. Notre Dame with a big win over Florida State moves up to 8. Alabama jumps from 15 or 14, right? They were 14.
No, it was 11.
Or 11 to 9. So they jump up 2. Ole Miss jumps up 6 with that big win over Georgia. Georgia drops 9 because they were ranked number 2. They dropped 9. Miami drops 8 after that loss to Georgia Tech. Boise State drops 1 in a win against Nevada, but they did not look great in that win against Nevada. It was a real close game. SMU also drops, but I think they had a bye week, so it's kind of funny that they dropped. Texas A&M doesn't.
Did they have a bye week? I thought they played.
I think they had a bye week. Texas A&M doesn't move on that bye week. Army goes up 2 with another great win. Colorado at 18 and Clemson at 17. Washington State moves up 1 Kansas State moves up 2 on their bye week. So, I mean, they didn't play. Last time we
No,
saw Kansas State, they lost and they moved up 2. LSU, after that embarrassing loss to Alabama, dropped 7. Louisville moves up 3. And then we have South Carolina ranked as they should be after that dominating win over Vandy. And then Missouri kind of stays the same, and then Tulane.
no shot.
That's the AP.
No shot, Colorado. No shot, Colorado's out of top 15.
In the AP poll. Now, I'm expecting it to be a little different when we get into college football playoff rankings. But I did want to talk a little bit about the AP rankings because I do feel like they go hand in hand at least a little bit.
Army is 16? No, bro.
Yeah, I think it's funny that Army moved up so much. I mean, their schedule is pretty weak. I don't think that Army, Clemson. Really, I don't think that Army, Clemson, and they're better. I mean, I want to say Boise State, but everyone's gonna be like Boise had that game against Oregon, so. But
look at like
I don't think that Army, Boise State, Clemson. To be quite honest, I don't think that those teams are better than Colorado.
most definitely not. Because you look at Army's schedule. The closest game they had was with Air Force. My bad, not my bad. North Texas. And they only won that by 11 points. Like, come on now. But they're just like Navy. The only thing is they haven't played Notre Dame yet, and they play Notre Dame this week. So they're literally like there's no point of them being ranked that high just for them to drop again.
Yeah. I mean they do have to go to. Are they going to Notre Dame or Notre Dame going to Army?
No, they're going to Notre Dame.
I don't think it matters.
It really don't.
I don't think it matters if they go to Army or if Army goes to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is hot, and they know they can't lose another game if they want to make the college football playoffs. And obviously they don't have a conference championship game, so the only way they do make it is by being one of the highest ranking teams outside of the 5 conference champions. So Notre Dame knows they drop another game, they're out, and they're not dropping the game to Army.
Seeing Indiana at 5 is insane.
I don't think it's insane. I think Indiana is a top 4 team. I think Indiana is a top 4 team in college football. I think they're a top 4 team, and we're going to see this week against Ohio State. I can't wait to make my picks and predictions for that game.
You got BYU at 7 too.
Yeah, BYU at 7, who survived their game this week.
I watched that game. That game made me so mad.
But we'll get into all of that. Let's jump right into our reviews. We'll talk about the teams that we chose to win these games. What's our record again? I think I'm still ahead in all-time record.
So with Bama win?
We both went for Bama, by the way.
Yeah, we did. It is 19-17 right now.
Yeah. So I'm up 2 in our picks for the year, but that's because Dallin had a bad week when he thought that it was upset week and it wasn't.
I would have been. It would have been. You would have been only up by 1 if I chose Georgia Tech over Miami. I had a feeling,
but
they always. It just some tells me every time Georgia Tech might get an upset this week. Sometimes they pull it off.
It's always Miami though. We always think that Miami is going to drop a game because of that defense, and they finally did, and we just didn't think it would be the Georgia Tech. We thought it would be to either Cal, Louisville, or that 3-game stretch, but it ended up being Georgia Tech.
I had a stronger feeling with Cal and Louisville, but over Georgia Tech. But I did tell you probably like it was earlier in the year.
Or Duke.
Miami was.
We thought it was one of those 3 teams.
One of those games, like one of those last 4 games.
Yeah. You did say that, and I said that if they made it past Duke, they wouldn't lose another game. I said that because I thought that Cal, Louisville, and Duke were the best chances of taking their first loss, and it ended up being Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech this year with 2 top 10 AP top 10 wins. Obviously the week 1 against a top 10 ranked Florida State team at the time. Obviously Florida State fucking sucks now, but at the time At the time, it was a top 10 win, and it still counts on the coach's resume as a top 10 AP top 10 win. And then again against Miami. They're kind of a dangerous team to play if you're ranked highly because they compete. All right. Let's get into it, though. Let's talk about it. Georgia Tech upsets number 12 Miami 28-23. And I have the new AP rankings attached to the teams. So Miami was number 4 going into this game. After that loss, they're now number 12.
Bro, what I'm talking about. There's no way you're losing to a team that just literally runs the ball the entire time. And then what's his first name? What's the running back? I forgot what his first name was.
Haynes King?
No, that's the quarterback. Jamal Haynes. That's
Jamal
Haynes.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we knew Jamal Haynes was a dog.
Quarter. Yeah, I know, but he got injured in the first quarter. He didn't even play the rest of the game.
Yeah, I know. He couldn't go.
So it's like literally they're running the ball with Haynes King, and then they'll put the true freshman in there, quarterback to throw the ball. And then they had another running back go down, so they're down to the third running back, and he got injured. I think like maybe in the third quarter. They just.
I mean, Georgia Tech couldn't throw the ball. They didn't throw the ball for more than 100 yards. They threw the ball for 99 yards, I think, or 98 yards. So
and that's
really
crazy.
Georgia Tech just ran the ball really well. Miami could not stop Georgia Tech's running the ball. And Georgia Tech defense, I mean, big stops when they needed to make big stops. Cam Ward, who has been Mr. Heroic, put a cape on, finally slipped up this game. He had the ball with a minute left to win this game and get strip sacked for the game. So Cam Ward finally, I don't want to say his luck finally ran out because Cam Ward isn't lucky. He's just fucking good at football. But his timing, like his perfect timing is done. He ran out of heroic moments. Like which is fair because if every week Miami puts him in a situation where he has to put a cape on. Against Duke, they were down in the second half. Up until the fourth quarter, he had to put a cape on. At Cal, we seen it. Virginia Tech, we seen it. Like Cam can't keep saving this defense, and eventually it was going to catch up to him, and it caught up to him at Georgia Tech this weekend.
Georgia Tech's D line, they put a lot of pressure on the entire game.
He still played amazing. He still had over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah, there was a few incidents where he was sitting comfortable in the pocket, and he moved the pocket a little bit, but the way they was putting pressure with blitzes, the DNs were putting pressure on them. It was just, and the D tackle too, especially when they was running the ball. The D tackle was putting pressure on them. Like Georgia Tech came prepared and ready to play against Miami, and that defense was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be an easy dub.
Listen, I'll say this: Miami's defense made that game. The game only looks close. One, because Haynes King couldn't throw the football. So they were forced to run and they became one-dimensional. And Miami's defense, it's easy to play defense when you know that the team that you're playing against can only do one thing. They know that they only can run the ball. So, of course, the game got a lot more defensive in the last 2 quarters, 3 quarters.
Yeah.
But to start that game, I mean, you have Jamal Haynes that whole game. I don't think it's close. Yeah, I mean, on that first drive, he had 3 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. He ripped them in the first drive. And then he goes out in the second, and it was like, oh, now they're forced to use Haynes King as their primary runner. He also had 90 yards. So I can just imagine if Jamal Haynes was still in the game.
20 carries as a quarterback with a right shoulder injury, your throwing shoulder, and you still beat a number 4 team. That was insane.
Yeah, that was. Damian Martinez did not run the ball that well. Miami's offensive line struggled that game against Georgia Tech. Big sacks after sacks. I mean, free blitz after free blitz after free blitz. I can't remember his name, but it's a linebacker for Georgia Tech. Let me see if I can find his name. I mean, he was getting in free, like with a free skis.
Let me see.
Effort. Kyle Effort.
Oh, Kyle Effort. Yeah. The one.
Kyle Effort. Yeah, I mean, he only got 1 sack, but his pressures were insane. I mean, I feel like every time Cam Ward was forced or hurried, it was because he was there. I mean, they could not. They could not. That Miami's O line struggled, and we said it. I think you said it last episode that Miami's O line and Colorado's O line are kind of similar in the way they struggle against blitz pickups. Colorado's gotten way better at it, but I think I stated that if Shador played for Miami, he would have a better season than if he played for that Colorado line. Maybe not, because that Colorado line was struggling, and they didn't look as good as. Miami's offensive line struggled, and they didn't look as good as Colorado's line looked against Texas Tech. So,
bro, I'm talking about it. Like it was an easy blitz. You could see the man coming up the middle. The center literally just shed it to the left, and then just let the man just come straight through untouched. I'm talking about, bro. There's no way you should be able to do that as a center.
Yeah, and again, they only had 2.5 sacks. Like Georgia Tech only had 2.5 sacks. But like the stats on paper don't like show justice to how that defense made Cam Ward uncomfortable all game.
Yeah, they put a lot of pressure on him that game.
That's a big time win for Georgia Tech. Miami, you're on the hot seat because you lose one more game. I don't think you made the college football playoffs. I mean, obviously, if you win a championship, you will. But like SMU has a real chance of ending Miami's playoff hopes now. With a ACC championship win over Miami. Like Miami was in a position before this game where if they would have played a top 10, top 12 ranked SMU team in the ACC championship game and lost, there's still an argument for Miami to go to the playoffs. Now, a loss to SMU in the ACC championship game, there is no argument because of this Georgia Tech loss. You know, so a 2-loss Miami isn't a 1-loss Miami.
So right now they got Miami third and they got Clemson second.
Yeah.
So Miami loses. Let's see what they got last week. They got Wake Forest and then Syracuse. If they win out, then they should make it. And oh snap! Yeah, they got to pray Clemson lose this week, and then they win out. Clemson got Pitt this week.
Yeah, but Clemson ends against South Carolina. Clemson ends against South Carolina. South Carolina's beaten Clemson in the last week of the season.
Yeah, but that wouldn't count towards ACC though. It'll count.
No, but it'll count towards a tiebreaker though.
No, not for the ACC.
Right, because it's either common opponent. Who's their common opponent?
Pitt. That's their last conference opponent.
Yeah, I mean like the tiebreaker for Clemson and Miami. If the tiebreakers are common opponents, so if Clemson lost to a team that Miami beat, or I think
it's Louisville.
Louisville beat Clemson.
Yeah, they beat Clemson by 12, and Miami beat
Louisville beat Clemson, and Miami beat Louisville. That's the common opponent. That will give Miami the edge in the tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's the only two. Yeah, that's the only opponent they both have in common with.
So Miami wins out, they're going to the playoffs. I mean, they're going to the championship game over Clemson, even if their record's the same.
Yeah, and then they just gotta hope
Pitt wins. I mean, if Pitt wins, then it helps Miami because they don't have to deal with a tiebreaker.
Yeah, because yeah.
But right now, I think no matter what, as long as Miami wins out, they're going to the ACC championship game. And because SMU is playing so well, we now see BYU.
They're automatically going.
Yeah, if they win out, they're in.
So it might be a SMU Miami or SMU Clemson.
It can't be a SMU Clemson unless Miami drops another game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I don't know how Pitt fares.
Pitt is 5th. They're 3-2 in the conference.
Oh, they have 2 losses in conference?
Yeah, they just lost to Virginia. They lost to SMU.
Oh, they lost to Virginia Tech.
No, Virginia. Not
Virginia.
Tech. Virginia. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Virginia.
Hey, so if anybody's tuning in and did not know, we did a dark horse episode, and I had Pitt as my dark horse in the ACC. I think you had SMU. Who'd you have?
I had,
Yeah, SMU as your dark
yeah,
horse.
they have SMU.